right. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Hi. Welcome. Oh, goodness gracious. Alexandra and Constance and Ari. I'm sorry. I'm back. I'm Danette. Good to see you. I'm glad you're here. And Veronica. There we go. Diane and Merritt, Sabrina. Hi, everybody. So good to see everybody. Miss Sharon and Miss Carolyn, Daniel and Marty. Hi, everybody. Okay, so I need to tell y'all, welcome to Sorting Soup. I need to tell y'all real quick that we are on live on YouTube right now. So if you do not want your faces on uh video, you need to turn your video off. But we would very much appreciate, we would love to see you. Um, but we are so glad that y'all are here. We're happy that you've made your way into the pot, simmering with us here for the Sorting Soup Book Club. Whew. And I'm going to sit here and tap dance for a little bit and say hello, Mira and Alexandra and Jeannie and Kim, and to say hi to everyone because and Matthew, I am giving people time to come in as we as we do on a Thursday. I'm going to say I am feeling a little tired today. I went out to lunch with my daughter. It's her birthday on the 18th, and I we don't usually go out, especially certainly not in the afternoon. Oh, and speaking of birthdays, I'll get to that in a minute. But this day, I decided to we had to go to her bank for her because she has a car payment. She's adulting. And so, in order to give her some good along with the bad of adulting, I decided to buy her lunch for her birthday. Along with that came a little bit of just the heaviness of having a really good meal. So I'm a little tired. I feel like I should take a nap. But other than that, y'all, we have another birthday, a birthday that's actually happening today. And that is our very own Laura Gabler. And so give a little love to our Miss Laura today. Um, but I did want to say, welcome to Sorting Soup. I'm going to introduce myself as Cecilia. I'm one of the co-facilitators here, and we also have Beth M from Southeast Michigan. We have Dr. Melissa with us hopefully today. We have Dr. Chris, I know for sure. We have Rebecca as our timekeeper. We don't have a hard stop today, so we're going to be a little bit easier on that today. And of course, we have Laura as our chat monitor. We have Boot Money as our metaphysical support and our philosophical gremlin chief in general, general in chief. All right, y'all. So now that we have made it through that, I think I will move it to Rebecca.
Thanks, Cecilia. So, yeah, for new folks, just want to get everybody oriented in terms of what you signed up for. So again, welcome to the Sorting Soup Book Club. This is our own unique version of a book club. And it takes the emotions and action oriented group setting of Sorting Soup and applies that to a book club. So right now we are studying Project 2025, the survival guide, because knowledge is power, and the more you know, the better prepared you can be to respond with clarity and action plans instead of freaking out and giving up. So that's our goal for today. Um, our well, I guess should cover group norms for anybody who's new. So we will have a discussion section. We will also ask for some volunteers to read because we do read as a group. So if you would like to do either of those things, the way you sign up to do that is by raising your digital hand. So in your Zoom menu, you will find the heart reaction part. So Constance is demonstrating right now what it looks like when you have your hand up. I don't know if she means to, um, but you find the heart reactions part of your Zoom menu, and then you click raise hand. So when you are part of the discussion, please try to keep any comments civil and constructive. We do ask folks to try and keep their comments to 2 minutes or less if there are multiple people with their hands up. Um, we do ask folks to um, try and avoid spamming the chat. So if you're very passionate about something and you really want to get your point across, you can say it once and it's understood. And just as a note that if you find this stuff very challenging emotionally and you need to take a break, by all means, feel free to do so. Do some deep breathing, take a walk or a lap around the living room or wherever you are, and then come back when you feel that you can. The plan for today is that we will spend some time reading as a group. We are reading, I mentioned, Project 2025, the Survival Guide. And today we are working on Chapter 7, which is Public Services on the Chopping Block. So something that a lot of us are probably aware of, but we will learn a lot today and then have maybe 20 minutes of discussion. Kind of depends on how it goes. As Cecilia mentioned, we don't have a hard stop, so we can be a little bit looser with time. But again, do be respectful of if multiple people have their hand up, do try and give everyone a turn to speak. And then hopefully if there's time at the end, we'll do a little palate cleanser and get a treat by reading or hearing someone read Lessons from Cats for Surviving Fascism, which is a delightful little palate cleanser at the end. So that is the plan for today. Before we jump in, I'm going to hand it off to Cecilia to get us all grounded in the moment.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Time for some Bardo. All right, so find a position that feels supported enough to let go a little. Feet on the floor if that's possible, if it's available. Spine long but not rigid, okay? Hands resting where they feel held. If it feels safe, you can let your eyes close or just lower your gaze a little. Let the room be here. Um, let the work be here. But for these 5 minutes, you do not have to fix anything. Notice the simple fact you're breathing in and out without you having to make it happen. The bardo is the in-between, between what was and what is not yet. For these minutes, you are allowed to rest exactly in that in-between. Begin to gently deepen your breath. Inhale through your nose for a slow count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale through your mouth for a count of 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do that a few more times. Inhale for 4, hold it, and then out for 6. And you don't have to count, but let the out breath carry a little of the day's tension with it. In through your nose, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. And exhale softly, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Keep doing that on your own. On your next few exhales, let yourself silently name what you are coming from. A meeting, a conflict, a headline, a loss, a win, a joy, a love. You do not have to fix any of it right now. Just acknowledge it as what was, what brought you to this bardo. In through your nose, hold, and out through your mouth. Now remember that this breath is not only yours. Every organizer in this Zoom and across our network is breathing with you. We are held in the same space, the same air. Within each inhale, sense that you are drawing strength from the people within our network. And with each exhale, offer them a little steadiness in return. Begin to let your breath return to its natural rhythm without controlling it. Notice the contact points, feet on the floor, seat on the chair, the weight of your hands. You are still between before and after, but you may be a little more resourced now. Let that be enough. Start to wiggle fingers and toes, roll your shoulders, maybe gently move your neck. And when you are ready, let your eyes open or your gaze lift. The bardo of the 5 minutes is complete, and we carry its steadiness back into the work together. Thank you all. Namaste. Constance, thank you very much for your patience. We are in chapter 7. Did you have a question? Are you willing to read?
No, no, I'm fine.
Good.
I have a comment. I just got finished listening to a representative from the Minnesota House, and she was describing everything that's going on. And so the relaxation exercises were timed well, I think.
Oh, good, good, good. All right.
You want me to start?
I do.
Okay. Chapter 7. Okay.
We are.
Tell me when you want me to stop, too.
Oh, right. Okay. Actually, about that, how about we go, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 6, 7 paragraphs?
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Right. All right. Healthcare, Social Security, and safety nets. Project 2025 itself presents itself as a blueprint for the future, but its vision of governance draws from the deepest recesses of the past, specifically a political imagination that rejects the 20th century's foundational social compacts. Chief among these are the public commitments to healthcare, income security, and welfare programs that were built not as giveaways or bureaucratic indulgences, but as bulwarks of dignity in the face of economic precarity. Under Project 2025, these compacts are not only devalued, they are targeted for radical deconstruction. At the heart of this dismantling lies a philosophical assertion that the federal government should not, and indeed must not, play a significant role in guaranteeing the well being of its citizens. In this model, public services are not instruments of justice, but distortions of the market. The safety net is not a mark of collective responsibility, it is an obstacle to personal freedom. And the recipients of public assistance are not neighbors in need, but potential dependents whose existence must be disincentivized. It is a worldview where poverty is not a structural failure, but a moral condition. The most ambitious target in this rollback is healthcare. Though Project 2025 avoids direct mention of full repeal, the policies it supports amounts to a systematic defunding of the federal health infrastructure. The Affordable Care Act, arguably the most expansive health equity measure of the past generation, is treated not as a flawed but important institution to improve, but as an ideological aberration to correct. Medicaid, which provides coverage for over 80 million low-income Americans, is slated for deep restructuring through block grants, work requirements, and administrative burdens designed to reduce enrollment rather than meet demand. These tactics have precedents. States that implemented Medicaid work requirements under the Trump administration saw thousands of people purged from the rolls without securing stable employment. The logic was never about encouraging work, it was about thinning the safety net and reasserting a moral calculus that defines aid as something to be earned through discipline rather than need. Project 2025 seeks to expand this approach nationally, locking healthcare behind bureaucratic gates that the most vulnerable populations will struggle to pass through. But healthcare is not the only pillar under threat. Social Security, one of the most popular and enduring programs in American history, is also placed in the crosshairs, not through open elimination, but through privatization by attrition. Project 2025's economic policy chapters suggest transforming Social Security from a public guarantee into a market driven vehicle, with young workers encouraged or required to shift contributions into private accounts. Though marketed as modernization, this plan introduces the same volatility and inequity that Social Security was created to prevent. In a
Thank
private okay, go ahead. You want to
Yeah.
start? Okay.
Yeah. Beth, you can go ahead. Oh, do I have to ask you to unmute? I do. Okay.
Okay. Um, I'm sorry, is it the Bud Healthcare and a privatized?
It is in a privatized system.
Gotcha. Thank you. In a privatized system, benefits are no longer defined. They depend on investment performance. Wealthier workers, already advantaged by access to financial planning and disposable income, will fare better. Poor, Poorer workers, particularly those in physically demanding or unstable jobs, will be left exposed to market shocks, early depletion of funds, and reduced benefits in old age. What was once a universal contract between generations is thus transformed into an individual wager with risk shifted downward and security recast as a luxury. More broadly, Project 2025 applies this ethos of privatization and conditionality across the entire landscape of safety net programs. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, TANF, housing subsidies, unemployment insurance, each is approached not as a human right or social obligation, but as a target for austerity. The rhetoric is familiar: fraud prevention, fiscal discipline, dependency reduction, but the policies that follow often produce the opposite of their stated goals. Food insecurity rises, homelessness spreads, cycles of poverty deepen. The cost is paid not in abstract budget lines, but in delayed medications, skip meals, untreated trauma, and lives shortened by neglect. Importantly, Project 2025 does not propose these cuts in a vacuum. They are paired with rhetorical and cultural strategies that reframe public service recipients as morally suspect. The old dog whistles of welfare queens and handouts are updated with more sanitized language: efficiency, local control, empowerment through work. But the underlying implication remains that public investment in social welfare is a form of societal decay. In this vision, need itself becomes suspicious. Suffering is not to be alleviated, but incentivized against. These cuts also come with a notable redistribution of state capacity. Even as programs for the vulnerable are slashed or restricted, Project 2025 proposes increased funding and authority for agencies tied to surveillance, policing, and immigration enforcement. The message is clear: the state should intervene not to care, but to control. It should not cushion misfortune, but enforce order. The welfare state is framed as the enemy of national strength, the carceral state as its guardian.
Thank you.
What gets buried? Oh,
Oh, no, sorry, keep going.
what gets buried in this reconfiguration is the truth that many of these programs were built from hard-won democratic consensus, often in response to mass suffering. Social Security was born in the wake of the Great Depression. Medicaid and Medicare emerged during the Civil Rights era as part of an effort to close racial and regional disparities. The food stamp program, expanded under both Democratic and Republican administrations, was a bipartisan acknowledgement of the unacceptability of hunger in a wealthy nation. Project 2025 treats these achievements not as foundations to protect, but as historical mistakes to reverse. You want me to keep going? But
Oh,
the
yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, if you could just go to the like three, yes, yes, to the end, yes, please.
Okay, but the deeper threat is not only to policy, it is to the idea of mutual obligation itself. When public services are degraded or dismantled, what disappears is not only infrastructure, but a sense of shared fate. The social fabric is punctured. Citizens are encouraged to see one another not as co-members of a democratic project, but as competitors in a zero-sum market, or as burdens to be managed. Solidarity gives way to suspicion. Empathy is replaced by efficiency. Public life shrinks. And yet, the consequences are not disturbed equally. Those with wealth, stable employment, and private insurance will not immediately feel the loss. They will outsource risk, buffer volatility, and continue to live in zones of relative protection. It is the working poor, the elderly, the disabled, the
Undoc-
undocumented, the marginalized, those with the fewest alternatives, who will suffer first and most. In this way, Project 2025's war on public services becomes not only an economic program, but a hierarchical sorting of whose lives are worth securing. What is at stake then is more than a set of policies. It is the future of the American promise that in a society of immense wealth and power, no one should be abandoned to hunger, illness, or despair. Project 2025 offers an answer to that promise. It says, you are on your own.
Thank you. That is terrifying.
Mhm.
Christine, uh, if you could please read Deregulation in the Name of Freedom. I will need to, there you go.
I listened to a seminar today on the big, beautiful bill and all the stuff they did. So I'm in a little PO'd mood.
Oh,
All right.
good.
In the
Good.
political lexicon of Project 2025, few words are invoked more frequently or more strategically than freedom. It is a term used to justify a wide spectrum of policies, from deep cuts to the welfare state to the dismantling of public regulatory infrastructure. But behind the rhetoric of liberation lies a very different reality, a methodical campaign to remove public protections, weaken institutional oversight, and transfer power from democratic bodies to private capital. Deregulation in this framework is not an act of emancipation. It is an instrument of consolidation, of market dominance, elite privilege, and corporate impunity. To understand the full scope of this agenda, it is necessary to clarify what regulation actually is. At its most basic level, regulation is the democratic assertion that not all market activity is inherently beneficial or neutral. It is the acknowledgement that without rules, profit-driven systems will externalize harm, exploit asymmetries of information and power, and prioritize short-term gain over long-term public welfare. Regulation exists because unregulated markets have repeatedly failed economically, environmentally, socially. It is the memory of these failures, codified into law, that Project 2025 seeks to erase. Okay. The strategy is multifaceted. Project 2025 outlines proposals to dismantle or defund entire categories of regulatory authority, particularly within agencies such as the Environmental Protection Agency, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and the Food and Drug Administration. These agencies, built over decades to prevent abuse and protect the public, are reframed as obstacles to innovation, growth, and individual autonomy. The logic is deceptively simple. If regulations impose costs, then eliminating them must yield freedom. But freedom for whom? The answer becomes clear when one examines the beneficiaries of deregulation. Environmental rollbacks serve fossil fuel companies, not the communities exposed to the pollution. Financial deregulation aids banks and hedge funds, not the working class families who face predatory lending or housing insecurity. Labor deregulation boosts profit margins, not the workers who lose access to safe conditions, overtime pay, or collective bargaining. In this calculus, freedom is defined not as liberation from exploitation, but as the removal of barriers to exploit. The rhetoric surrounding this agenda is carefully curated. Project 2025 and its affiliates rarely speak in the language of corporate power. Instead, they invoke small businesses, family farmers, and everyday Americans burdened by red tape. Regulations are painted as Kafkaesque mandates imposed by unelected bureaucrats, soulless technocrats who strangle initiative and stifle innovation. This framing ignores the fact that many regulations were created in response to actual crises: chemical spills, workplace disasters, economic collapses, consumer fraud. It is easier to vilify a rule than to recall the suffering that made it necessary. There is also a more technical dimension to this strategy: the redefinition of regulatory authority itself. Project 2025 aligns with legal theories such as the major questions doctrine and the attack on the Chevron deference, which seek to dramatically limit the discretion of federal agencies to interpret and enforce laws. Under this view, if a regulation has significant economic or political impact, it must be explicitly authorized by Congress, regardless of existing statutory frameworks. This creates a bottleneck that paralyzes regulatory action, even when urgent. Agencies are rendered hollow, not by abolishment, but by judicial handcuffing. In effect, the administrative state is reimagined not as a safeguard of the public good, but as an illegitimate force to be restrained or dismantled. Expertise becomes suspect. Science becomes politicized. Public interest becomes secondary to the assertion of private rights. This inversion of the regulatory paradigm is a profound departure from the post-New Deal consensus, in which regulation was seen as a necessary counterweight to concentrated economic power. Importantly, the regulatory drive is not confined to economic policy. It extends into public health, consumer protections, civil rights enforcement, and even technology and data governance. Mask mandates, vaccine requirements, and pandemic response measures are reframed as authoritarian overreach. Standards for accessibility, non-discrimination, and consumer privacy are treated as regulatory excess. The state, under Project 2025, should not interfere in the marketplace, not even to defend the vulnerable. Its primary function is to protect the autonomy of capital. This
Okay.
logic reaches its most dangerous expression when combined with the movement's broader political agenda. Project 2025 does not envision a libertarian minimal state. It envisions a selectively empowered one. Regulatory agencies are stripped of their ability to police markets, but law enforcement is expanded. Environmental protections are gutted, but immigration controls are intensified. Workplace protections are loosened, but the I'm sorry, that's a new word for me. Carceral apparatus is funded and militarized. The message is consistent: deregulation for capital, discipline for the public.
Yeah, that carceral, that's incarceration.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But thank you, Christine. I think we are going to I'm gonna go on to Judith now, and because this is a long chapter, y'all. I was seeing, but Judith, go ahead at the erosion of regulation. Whew. Oh, wait. I guess I need to unmute you, don't I?
Okay, yes, thanks. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The erosion of regulation is thus not a neutral shift in administrative policy. It is a reordering of power. It creates an economy in which bad actors can thrive unchecked, where polluters, lenders, landlords, and employers face few consequences for harmful behavior. It destabilizes public trust in the institutions designed to protect it. And it widens the chasm between those who can navigate a deregulated world through wealth and influence and those left to bear its consequences without recourse. In this new order, disasters are not prevented, they are privatized. When a factory leaks toxic chemicals into a river, there is no EPA to stop it, only lawyers to sue after the damage is done, if you can afford them. When an algorithm denies someone a loan, there is no regulatory standard to appeal to, only a spreadsheet written in code. When a company misleads investors or a landlord neglects safety or a workplace becomes lethal, the market will not correct it. It will reward it until it can no longer profit from it. This is the dystopia hidden within the promise of deregulation, a society where responsibility is optional, where risk is offloaded downward, and where justice is outsourced to markets that have no memory and no conscience. Project 2025 does not destroy the state. It converts it from a guardian of the public good to a custodian of private interest. In such a society, freedom becomes a hollow currency. It means the freedom to breathe unclean air, to drink poisoned water, to work unsafe jobs, to be manipulated by financial systems that answer to no one. It means the freedom to be abandoned when the system fails and to be blamed for your suffering. And yet, this is not marketed as cruelty. It is marketed as empowerment, a return to self-reliance, a triumph of the individual over bureaucracy. But this triumph is a mirage. The true beneficiaries are those whose power will expand in the absence of rules. The polluters, the monopolists, the disinformation architects, the profiteers of vulnerability. The rest are left to navigate an increasingly precarious world, unprotected, unheard, and unseen. Who benefits and who pays the price? When public services are dismantled, when regulations are gutted, when the government retreats from its obligations to the vulnerable, the question that must always be asked is, who gains from this withdrawal and who is left to bear the cost? Project 2025 does not merely propose a smaller state. It proposes a selectively active state, one that redistributes power upward while imposing burdens downward. To understand the full impact of this reconfiguration, we must follow the flows of benefit and harm, tracing how policy choices shape not only institutions, but lives. At the top of this new hierarchy are large corporations, private equity firms, and high net worth individuals whose interests align with the systematic reduction of public oversight. When health programs are cut, they see opportunities to expand privatized care. When public education is defunded, they invest in for-profit charter schools, digital learning platforms, and private testing regimes. When labor protections are rolled back, their margins improve. When environmental regulations are suspended, the cost of compliance disappears. When taxation is reduced under the guise of stimulating growth, their wealth is preserved while the fiscal responsibility for collective needs shifts elsewhere. These actors do not simply benefit passively. They are actively involved in shaping the policies that enable their profit. Think tanks, lobbying organizations, and political action committees affiliated with Project 2025 operate as vehicles for policy laundering, translating corporate interest into public legislation using the language of liberty, morality, or fiscal prudence to mask what is, in effect, a coordinated campaign of extraction. It is no accident that the architects of Project 2025 include powerful financial donors and ideologically aligned business leaders. The dismantling of the public sector is not an unintended consequence. It is a strategic investment. Beneath this elite tier are those who are presented as the intended beneficiaries of the project, the ordinary Americans, the forgotten men and women, the patriotic taxpayers framed as overburdened by a bloated bureaucracy. They are promised lower taxes, greater autonomy, protection from government overreach, and a return to traditional values. But what is delivered is far more precarious. The loss of public services, healthcare, housing assistance, food programs, consumer protections, hits these communities first and hardest. The state retreats, but the market does not fill the gap. Instead, insecurity grows. For many working class Americans, particularly in rural areas or deindustrialized towns, the appeal of Project 2025 lies in its rhetoric, that their suffering is the result not of deregulation or wage stagnation, but of liberal elites, immigrants, urban cosmopolitans, or a parasitic welfare state. This narrative deflects attention from structural economic decisions that have decimated local economies, funneled wealth upward, and hollowed out public infrastructure. It replaces material analysis with cultural resentment, a strategy that benefits those in power by keeping the disempowered divided. Should I stop?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
thank you. All right, Constance, would you like to finish this out?
Oh, sure. And I can't wait for our discussion to follow.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. Nowhere at the top of the next page. Yeah.
Yes.
Nowhere is this more evident than in the racialized impact of public service cuts. Communities of color, especially Black, Indigenous, and Latinx populations, bear a disproportionate share of the cost. These communities are represented among those reliant on Medicaid, SNAP, public housing, and disability programs, not because of cultural deficiency, but because of centuries of systemic exclusion from wealth accumulation, quality education, and equitable labor markets. When these services are slashed, the harm is not evenly distributed. It deepens existing inequalities. In the same way, gender dynamics play a critical role. Women, particularly single mothers, caregivers, and low wage workers, are often the primary users and administrators of social services. They are more likely to rely on subsidized childcare, reproductive health programs, and family assistance. The erosion of these programs translates into immediate, tangible losses: more unpaid labor, reduced economic mobility, worsened health outcomes, and an increased risk of poverty. Yet, Project 2025 frames these very supports as evidence of a moral crisis, suggesting implicitly or explicitly that dependency on state assistance is a sign of individual failure rather than systemic exclusion. Children, too, become collateral in this ideological battle. Cuts to school health programs, early education funding, special education services, and child welfare oversight do not promote efficiency, they impose hardship on those least able to navigate bureaucracy or bear risk. The supposed cost savings are extracted not from waste, but from nutrition access, safety, and development. And the long term social cost widened achievement gaps, increased intergenerational poverty, and deepened health disparities is neither calculated nor acknowledged. At the farthest margins, the impact is even more severe. Disabled individuals, the elderly, refugees, undocumented immigrants, LGBTQ plus youth, formerly incarcerated people, groups that are already vulnerable to institutional neglect, face outright abandonment. Project 2025 offers no coherent alternative for how these lives are to be supported. Their exclusion is not a flaw in the system, it is a feature. Their presence is either erased from public concern or weaponized in culture war discourse, where their suffering can be reframed as proof of a broken society rather than a broken policy. What remains is a society in which the costs of policy are concealed, but their effects are lived daily, bodily, intimately. A diabetic skips insulin to pay rent. A mother chooses between groceries and childcare. A veteran with PTSD loses housing support. A disabled worker is denied accommodations. These are not abstractions, they are consequences. And the system designed under Project 2025 offers no language, let alone infrastructure, for attending to them. The state is not there to help. It is there to punish, surveil, and withdraw. And still, the beneficiaries are protected. The tax loopholes remain open. The regulatory hurdles are lowered. The privatized alternatives, boutique healthcare, elite education, gated communities, security contracts thrive. Those with capital simply exit the system they help dismantle, leaving others to live amid the ruins. It is a form of political parasitism, draining the public of resources and legitimacy, then retreating into privatized domains walled off from accountability. In this system, upward redistribution becomes naturalized, while downward harm is individualized. The media coverage focuses on budget savings, not evictions. The political speeches celebrate independence, not desperation. The metrics of success are stock market indexes and GDP, not human well being or democratic resiliency. And in the vacuum of empathy and structure, suffering becomes background noise, acceptable, inevitable, invisible. To ask who benefits and who pays the price under Project 2025 is to reveal the deep moral asymmetry at its core of proposals. It is to see the public services are not merely line items on a spreadsheet, but expressions of who matters in a society. Their erosion is not just an economic decision, it is a political declaration. And that declaration is left, if left unchallenged, will echo not only through policy, but through the lived experience of millions. It will mark the distance between what democracy promises and what it delivers, between the rhetoric of freedom and the reality of abandonment.
Thank you. Thank you, Constance. As you can see, they have a concept map for public services on the chopping block, but we're living it, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go and to the PDF if you would like to see it. I say that a lot. I do say that a lot. I say we're living it. And I do know that when we read it, it is so much more in our face. It is so much more heavy, it seems.
Consequential.
Yeah, yeah. Bruce, you are up.
Are we ready to talk?
I believe we are.
Well, I don't think we're living it yet, but this is where the billionaires and Trump want to take us. It's a value system. What is the purpose of government? These people think, oh, we should be able to do whatever we want, a laissez-faire system that existed well before the New Deal. I mean, because the Food and Drug Administration came in before the New Deal. And that was because people were getting poisoned from meat and so forth. And industry does not regulate itself, or many of them don't. And as a result, they needed that regulation. And then, of course, came the New Deal, and they had a lot of administrative agencies as well as Social Security. Why was Social Security developed? Because the elderly needed it, and it's a value system of do you want to help people in need? It's not just the elderly. I mean, here they even say the disabled are abandoned. Come on, and it's a definite income redistribution issue where the wealthy get wealthier and those who need it don't and are, for want. I remember when Medicare came in and Medicaid under Johnson, I was old enough to know, and I remember the Republicans opposed it. That was their structure of values. And then afterwards, I think the doctors liked it because a lot of these people who weren't getting care before were now going in for health care. But now they want to strip it. The health care and other benefits that people get. Let's see, what else? There's so much in here that's just, they're calling them historical mistakes. I call them historical advances and the way this country should be going. And Trump and the Project 2025 is taking us in the opposite direction. And they're even talking about racial disparities they want to, attack in terms of, hurting minority programs and so forth. I mean, this again goes to what is the purpose of government? What are your values? And these people don't belong in this country. This is for another country, maybe like Russia or something like that, where they can espouse these type of views. But our country is better than this. The people are better than this, and we need to resist this type of attitude. And I could go on, but I'm going to let others talk.
Okay. Well, thank you, Bruce. I always appreciate you getting us started. Thank you so much. Ooh, Danette. I'm sorry, Miss Ari. I skipped Danette. Danette, you are up.
Good evening.
Good
To say
evening.
good morning.
Yeah.
It's funny, Bruce says you don't think we're in it yet, but this one line that Constance just read just stood out to me because I literally just seen it happen on the news. I forget her name, the long-haired one on MS Now that does the podcast with all the
Nicole
best people.
Wallace.
Yes. And they had a woman on there talking about, she showed a clip of a woman showing how to budget for shopping instead of what it was she read, talking about other things, how to budget. And they said to make a meal that you can afford, you can have one piece of chicken, a piece of broccoli, and a corn tortilla wrap. And there was something else, but they forgot. The woman that was saying it forgot what the fourth thing was. But those are the four things you can do on a budget to have for dinner. And that's literally what Constance just read.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that was God. That just really stood out to me because I literally just watched it a little while ago.
I saw it too, and that revolted me as well.
Yeah, and so yeah. I don't know. That's all. I just got nothing else. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Thank you. All right. Now we're Ms. Ari. How are you doing today?
Fair to middling, as my grandmother used to say. I had no idea what that meant then, but I truly do now. First of all, I appreciate the authors setting out the differences between us, even though we're all in this together, particularly the POC, people of color, and women. And Bruce, we're both lawyers, so you know I'm going to disagree with you because we are living it, and some of us have been living it. Not even when you look at what happened with SCOTUS and the Voting Rights Act, what they did with Roe, all of that, and the fact that the Equal Rights Amendment never passed in terms of nationwide, in terms of women voting. The Heritage Foundation since the late 70s has been looking and examining these weaknesses for decades. So many of us have already been living it. What is now more daunting? It is obvious, and quite frankly, it is more widespread, and to have much more and which creates much more national attention. But when what was going on in the South and in parts of the country with people of color, particularly indigenous people who often get overlooked, there was very little recognition. And I will say that many countries haven't been aware of this. When I first became a lawyer, and I think some of you know, my Canadian lawyer friends used to laugh and say, democracy and capitalism. Let's see which one of those wins. Well, guess what? Which one is winning now?
Which one's
Capitalism.
winning now?
And this is more, and Project 2025's author is not Trump. It is not this, it is the Heritage Foundation, and each Republican president since the 70s has adopted some portion of that. So we need to understand what we're fighting now is not just one administration and one particular character. We're fighting decades of a structure that wanted to overturn our democracy in favor of the wealth of the billionaires. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Madam Ambassador, you are up.
Okay, so on Facebook, a lady asked a question. She saw our pictures of the protest, and she asked the question, do we really want to defund ICE? And so that was an open door for me to have a conversation with her. So I explained to her how we feel, that of course we agree that Probably every program that we have needs to be revamped, but the way they're doing it is not the way it should be done. And for every dollar that's removed from us goes either to ICE or it goes to the oligarchs. So my phrase to her was uh, every dollar from us, an oligarch's pocket is lined. So I don't know. I just thought maybe that's something we could put on the merch too, on the t-shirts and stuff. But anyway, it just I don't know. And then the thing that we're not living it now, I mean, we are living it now because like the ACA, I mean, people's premiums are going up, right? And people are losing their insurance and from what I understand, people are already getting cut off Medicaid. So, and I agree with what Miss Ori said too, that a lot of people have been living it for years. I mean, this terrible, the what are the people called? Not the Project 2025 people, but the Federalist Society. I mean, they've been around for probably more than 40 years, but this has been their dream. And I just don't understand that, why, like, they just must have no souls. Because why do, we have to choose whether or not we're going to eat or pay rent or get our insulin. I mean, and what is it hurting them for? And I say, what is it hurting them? But then I realize it all goes back to money. So when they cut off all of our benefits, all the extra money goes to them. So it's
All
just
about money.
frustrating.
It all every time I do that, what you're doing right now, it always goes back to money. And so
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Yeah. Thank you, Beth, so much.
Mhm.
I appreciate you. All right, Judith.
Yeah, Beth just mentioned insulin prices. That was one thing that I wanted to mention as well. My late husband was type 1 diabetic and he had good insurance through his employer. But I mean, you'd look at the bills at what they're charging for this, and this is ridiculous. And as some of you may know, the inventor of insulin, the guy who discovered it, wanted it to be available for everyone for free
Yep.
forever. And it got snatched up by pharmaceutical companies, and they've been making a mint on it ever since. New types and everything. Yes, the technology has come a long way, but still, people need this to stay alive. And the same thing with like EpiPens for allergies. It's just ridiculous that people should have to be, paying through the nose or sacrificing meals or other things just to get their insulin to stay alive. That's absolutely ridiculous. So that was one point that I wanted to make. And then also, my late husband used to work for BP for a while, and that is just the worst company for safety, the deregulation thing. I can
Yeah.
remember one instance that stays with me forever. This happened on New Year's Day some years ago. And a guy, refineries are open all the time on holidays and everything. They have to be. And so this guy was going up a very high ladder to one of these gigantic containers at a refinery to check on something. And he lost his footing, grabbed at the railing, and fell to his death because the railing was rusty. I mean, a rusty railing, you would fix that on your house. You could go to Ace Hardware and get the things to fix a rusty railing. But
Right.
BP was so conscious of the quarterly bottom line that they didn't do basic things like this. And the guy had 4 kids, the guy who died. And every New Year's Day, I think about this family. I didn't know them personally, neither did my husband, but it was just such a tragedy, for a rusty railing, for goodness sake. And so those are two of the things that bothered me very much about this reading, the deregulation. I mean, what was the protection for that? I mean, probably they settled with the family, but they didn't have their dad anymore, and I don't know that they were paid adequately to even make up for the financial aspect of it, much less missing their dad. So anyway, yeah, this did provoke some strong feelings for me. Thanks for listening. That's all for now.
Thank you, Judith. I appreciate you. My goodness, I know my uncle is a roughneck. He spent my entire life off the shore of somewhere, right? Offshore oil rigging somewhere in the world. And I was always worried that he would come back, not come back someday. Like it, yeah, I get it was very dangerous. Whew. Okay, Constance.
Yeah, an image came to mind as I was reading and listening to this chapter, which is strip mining. Um, when companies go in and extract all the minerals from the earth and leave it barren
Yeah,
and not caring for what happens, to the people left behind. And I really believe that what the billionaires are doing, are strip mining our country. I read someplace that they have this place in the southern Atlantic Ocean where everybody is going to go afterwards, and it has no government. It's beautiful, and they can build mega mansions there, and live the idyllic life of just the natural citizen or something,
how
where there's
lovely
no
for them.
yeah. But so there's that. But also, I read that also that the Reagan administration provided the origin for the unitary executive theory. And lo and behold, John Roberts, Samuel Alito, and one other person on the court right now worked in the Reagan administration and were proponents of the unitary executive theory, which I think is which envisions power, an expanded power, notion of power in the hands of the president, which is very similar to this power upward model that we're reading about, that would uh, that is at the bottom of taking away these support systems, that all power goes upward, all dependence goes upward, um, and as opposed to across, which it should be in a democratic society. So
Yeah.
it's no surprise that the Supreme Court is finding, like in the Chevron decision, where they stripped it used to be that the agencies of government would hold a big sway in terms of what people should follow the decisions of the agencies. They've stripped that away, and now people have to follow the decisions of the courts, especially the Supreme Court. So it all kind of goes hand in hand, doesn't it? The democratic notion of sharing authority is being replaced by not sharing authority, but by expanded presidential authority and the authority of, unfettered capitalists. So
Well,
that's my 2 cents worth.
thank you, Constance. It's much appreciated. Thank you so much. Everyone, y'all, today's a heavy day. Thank you. Alexandra.
Everyone. I know it says Alexandra. That's my legal name, but everybody calls me Lynn. So,
Oh, hi, Lynn.
I just thought of two examples of, I think I just saw it today, an example of like power in motion today with one of the big banking industries where control is being used, where they had just taken over people's bank accounts. And I saw one, it was like fairly local, where one of the big banks, I actually bank there, where they just took over somebody's bank account and wouldn't give them their money. And it was on Channel 7 where they had to go fight them to get their money back. And there was like more and more cases of this happening, where the bank just decided that, well, we're going to just freeze out your money, which I thought was interesting, which I knew that this was getting ready to come for whatever reason, didn't really provide them a good reason why they just decided to take their money, which is capitalism at its finest, I think. And it's interesting that this bank is also very entwined with, Deutsche Bank and, Epstein, and, they all have all these guys are going to have some answering to do at some point in at some point in time before it's over. And the other thing I thought of is the other big tech thing with in all of us, in our communities, we really got to watch with all the data centers going up, where they're just taking over, because it's really going to hurt all of our communities, all these data centers going up with the damaging of water and stuff, and they just kind of, local communities, they just slide them in and they just do so much damage that you don't even know that they're coming before it's done and over. I just was appalled about how many's in my community already that I had not even heard of. So I
Yeah.
have two thoughts on that one.
Thank you for bringing that up. I know that a lot of the Chicago residents had no idea that they were already just dispersed all the way throughout Chicagoland area. And we have already had that conversation. I know we have more to learn about data centers and what they're going to be doing to our health and our electric bills, y'all, and our water bills.
Well, not only the water bills, but the water.
And the water, I didn't, that's what I meant. The water and the air
Yep.
quality. It's a lot. There's a lot. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lynn. You're much appreciated. Kim, you're next.
So, not to make this any heavier, but I think in some ways this chapter really sugarcoats what's happening because I'm part of the disability community, and what we're seeing with the privatization of the healthcare systems, in addition to defunding healthcare subsidies, is that we can't get appointments, we can't get medications, we can't, and so particularly adults with high medical support needs are already dying. It's already killing people.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, like, I don't want us to forget that, like, this is as bleak as a picture as it is, saying that we're living with it isn't always true for a lot of people.
Yeah, that is fair. Thank you, Kim. And I do want to also remind everybody, I believe this is said to be a survival guide. They were trying to do what I believe to be they weren't trying to do a deep dive. So and I don't mean that to say that they shouldn't have done more, Kim, because I too am disabled and so would have liked to see more representation a little, but there are other areas in here that do have anyway. I'm more time. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you. Thank you. Sabrina, you're next. Did I get you?
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, I got distracted and forgot what I was going to say.
That's
I'll
okay.
let you go.
I'm gonna you keep your hand up if you want. It's fine. No worries. Bruce, you're next.
Okay.
Okay, just a little bit further from what I stated before. And yes, I realize that far too many are already living this. But my point is that this is going even further in that direction to make it so that poverty is a moral condition of people, so that empathy replaces efficiency all over. And and they want it permanently. And my hope is that when Democrats regain control, a lot of this can be reversed and better than what it's been in the past. We've got to make it better.
That's right.
For people. And these agencies, for instance, they talk about eliminating the EPA, Consumer Protection, FDA, OSHA. We have them. They're just not nearly as effective as they were before. Those independent agencies can be helped for the future. Office of Civil Rights. I mean, the Justice Department, look what they've just done with theirs. And they're using it to protect white people, for crying out loud. That's crazy. And that's something that can be reversed for the future. I realize for the next, 3 years, it's going to be a problem. So my hope is that, yes, a lot of people are suffering now, and these do apply, but it's not there all the way, which is where the Project 2025 wants to go, and that hopefully Democrats regain and can reverse and get much better in these areas for the future.
Yeah. I hear that. And that doesn't take away from the lives that will be lost in the interim. That doesn't take away from, and that should even be our rallying cry. Like those lives that we lose should be our rallying cry. Like they should be that's, that should add to our why. They should add to our why. Um, in my, they, that,
Understood. I agree.
thank you. Thank you, Bruce. Um, Nora, you're up next.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody's comments, and I agree with so many things that were said about this started a long time ago. Um, it really didn't take stronghold until Reagan, but it was a long time ago. And when people mention we're living it, to some extent, some of us are, but others are living it in a more drastic way, depending upon their situation. And I didn't know a lot about 2025, but I knew they wanted privatized health insurance, and Social Security. And I'm thinking to myself, that is my biggest concern. Well, I have a severe chronic illness and I'm disabled. And I'm sure people disagree with me all the time because they say, I love my Medicare Advantage plan. Medicare Advantage plans is sheer corruption. And I was with United Health, which is the number one worst. There was just a recent article where they're under investigation for the most unbelievable crimes in billing coding to make more money and denying claims for no reason. I've lived this. I have not been able to get my treatments and my medicines and whatnot. So I've been doing a deep dive into, actually, we're doing a presentation on healthcare in America, but I thought, okay, what I'm going to do is when I turn 65, which won't be long, I'm going to transfer into traditional Medicare. Well, lo and behold, starting on the 1st of this year, 6 states put in a pilot program and they're adopting some of the same tricks that are being used with the Advantage plans. So it's like I can't even keep up and try to save myself. And it's so frustrating because I don't know how to fight back on the healthcare issue. I mean,
I don't,
I it is really one of my main concerns. And, I know someone with the Affordable Care Act that cannot afford it any longer, and I see what she's going through. And I just have such frustration with the leaders that we have. And I don't know if anybody watched Ezra and Leah today, but they were slamming Schumer and Jeffries for not being true leaders. And they were saying that we must make our demands known before the budget resolution. The first time we demanded nothing. Then we went 6 months. We came up. What did we ask for? We asked for the ACA tax cuts to remain in place. We were on a high from November because of the blue wave. We were running strong. We had the advantage, and we caved. On January 30th, we have another budget resolution, and the Democratic Party has not yet said what we are going to demand. Well, I know there's some things that we must demand, and I will call, and we were told to call, and I will call my congressmen and representatives, the senators, and tell them these are the things that I demand, and I want you out there talking about it. We cannot put any more money into ICE. Number one, we cannot fund ICE. We have to address our healthcare
healthcare.
situation.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
I just, I don't want to feel sorry for myself because I know other people are suffering too because the changes with our healthcare. But we have to put the brakes on this. We have to demand more from our leaders. And if our leaders aren't doing it, we need new ones.
That's right, Nora. Then that's why we need to primary people who aren't going to be fighting for us.
Exactly.
All right, thank you. And I understand your fight. I understand what it feels like to be denied again and again for something that you know you need and what your doctor is telling them that you need. And the insurance company is just continuing to deny you. I've been there and I'm sorry. I'm with you. Marta, you are up next.
Yeah, hi. And yeah, Nora, I just want to say like total credit for putting energy into, trying to be part of a movement for something better when you're dealing with so much in your own life that has to take a lot of energy and time. So thank you for sharing what you're going through. And I don't know if you're connected at all with sharing our stories, but it definitely seems like you have a story to share. I was just going to say, and I don't think I'm like the nicest. I mean, I think I'm a nice person, but I guess I'm saying I don't think I'm nicer than many, many, many other people. And I feel so naive because what is it for? It's hard for me to get into the mindset of these billionaires and power brokers to even know how to like counteract it. I don't understand what they're picturing this is actually going to look like. I mean, what do we have to be proud of if we dismantle so many of these programs in our country? What's left to be proud of being a citizen here? And I was thinking we're going to become one of those cruelly disparaged third world countries. That's where we're actually headed because we're weakening the means of millions of people. And, if you've traveled to countries where people are living in shacks, I went to Venezuela decades ago and I was young and I just remember being, you know, just imprinted with the shacks that go kind of up in the mountains all around Caracas. Where are we headed with this? And how it's very hard for me to understand the mindset of people who think they'd be happy surrounded by suffering. That's just it's hard to get there. Right now, for anybody who is local, I live in Mount Prospect, so it neighbors Arlington Heights, the origin of NWSOFA. In Arlington Heights next week, they're doing a book discussion on poverty by America at a place called Books and Brews. And there was one thing in here that I think so much connects with it. It's a Pulitzer Prize winning author. But he says this country of ours should be in the business of helping its people create wealth, but it should not be in the business of heavily subsidizing it. Why are we so focused on increasing the wealth of the already wealthy when millions languish in poverty? And he gives the example of Peter Thiel, who's worth $5 billion, and it's tax free for him if he doesn't withdraw it. He's got in his IRA. That's what he has in his IRA. So if he doesn't, withdraw it to his 59 and a half, it's just kind of sitting there. It's just this, he calls it, and I liked this, socialism for the rich and free enterprise for the poor. And I felt like that was somehow, if we can wordsmith that message to something more understandable, that's really is what's happening. It's socialism for the rich, right?
Yeah.
They get all the cuts, they get all the breaks, they get all the understanding, and then everybody else is left to pick up the scraps. But again, it feels so naive. What kind of country do they think those rich people are going to be living in when millions are a wreck? How nice is this country going to be? So anyway, this one was it's just mind blowing for me. So thank you.
I agree. Thank you. Thank you so much, Martha. All right, Judith, you are up next. Yep.
There.
Like,
Okay. Yeah, a couple more thoughts. There's a podcast that I sometimes listen to. I think it's through the University of Chicago. It's called Capital Isn't, We've been talking a lot today about capitalism and how it's incompatible with democracy. And I mean, some of the episodes on this podcast are in line with things we've been saying, but not all of them. If you just want to, ponder capitalism a little more in different lights, you could try listening to Capital Isn't. It's spelled as one word, but anyway. So that's one thing. And then the idea of mutual obligation, I mean, all of us on this call believe in it, believe that we should be responsible for our fellow Americans and just fellow human beings. But I'm wondering, what are our options for encouraging such sentiments in the wider population? And how would you go about that even? You would think that people at their houses of worship would have some sort of encouragement in that direction. Almost all religions, have some such idea, that you should care for each other, some more strongly than others maybe, but you're supposed to do that. They all have charitable organizations and soup kitchens and things like this, but I don't know what to do about those who either don't believe it at all or believe that we should care only about people who are the same color as us, or the same gender as us. I don't know what to do to make it more widespread in the population, because clearly there's about 30% of the country doesn't think this, and I just don't know what to do, and that's kind of frustrating to me. So if anybody has any ideas, I'd like to hear about them. I would help in any way I can. But and then also one thing, expertise. The document the chapter we read tonight mentioned how expertise is disregarded. And that goes back, I mean, the first time I became aware of it was around the time of the Iraq War, when area experts at universities were screaming that this is a really bad idea to go into Iraq, and they were just disregarding it completely. And I thought, how could they do that? How could they brush these people aside who really know what they're talking about? They know the area. And I mean, things that some of my professors wrote they came true to a T, and it was just disregarded. They didn't care. And now the gutting of the federal experts in various agencies is continuing that process. But it started at least 20 years ago. I don't know exactly how far back it goes, but it's very frustrating because people who devote their lives, devote years to studying these things, and they can help.
Their money and their, I mean, not, I know money, it's just money, but they put their own money into investing into their own and hours of study.
Well, I mean, people made money off the Iraq War too. Like I heard that Cheney had connections to defense industries and things like that, and so stuff like that, which probably happens in every conflict. But it's just very frustrating. So those are, I guess, my remaining gripes for that. I may still think of another one, but thank you for listening.
Thank you, Judith. Okay, Rebecca.
All right, so Miss Sharon raised in the chat, she wanted to go straight to action items. So we had our chance to do some group processing, but I think now might be a good time to kind of shift our focus to, all right, what do we do? We know it's terrible. What do we do? So I think Judith raised a really good point. It may have been framed a little bit in despair, but I'm going to flip it. So Judith said 30% thinks that, we don't have any social obligations to each other. Well, I'm no mathematician, but 30% is not 100%. It's not even 50%. What we know, though, is that there's a bunch of us who think like us. There's a bunch of them that think like them. But then there's some people in the middle who are like out playing basketball or like watching the Bears game or whatever, or doing some non-sports thing, but not paying attention to politics. And there's a bunch of them in the middle. And so, well, what I think we got to do, and one reason why we spend so much time talking about this stuff to each other, is to make sense of these ideas so that we can come up with ways to talk about it and translate it from all of this, like nobody's going to sit down if you don't care about politics and actually read a 900-page Project 2025 document? Well, we're sitting down and reading a 150-page document, so we can talk about it to people. We are educated. So if you've got a cousin or somebody on your basketball team or somebody in your football pool or whatever, you know now what is in this and how it can affect everyone's lives. So you have been empowered to share this information. And furthermore, you know who it's going to affect. And that's going to be even more powerful if who you're trying to convince is who is going to be affected by this. So I would encourage folks, talk to people in the grocery store like Constance does. She'll just talk to anybody. She's amazing. I'm too shy. Talk to, if you are at the doctor's office, talk to the nurses. They're going to know about some of these, like, impacts from Medicaid, and get their stories. Stories are powerful. And if you have those anecdotes, you can turn around and share those with your elected representatives or with the voters. Like, elections are happening soon, like within 8 weeks or something. So these stories are really powerful right now in terms of influencing who people are going to vote for. So I would say those are some things. Tell stories, talk to everybody, make them understand what's in this Project 2025 crap. And then the other thing I would add is, okay, it may feel like each of us is isolated. We're all like, Marta is up in Prospect Heights. I'm down here in Wheaton. Larry's over there in Columbus. We're all over the place, but we have things in common. Like, I noticed earlier on this call, there was like 3 or 4 people who identify as members of the disability community. If you're in a community like that, or you are an attorney, or like, we have these identities that are who we are. If we get with other people that share these identities, or we make these communities, communities have power. Numbers make power. So I would encourage y'all, get each other's contact information, talk to each other, and collectively, that's how we can change shit. So I'll leave it there. But thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Thanks for having the TED Talk. All right, Barbara. I'm so happy that you're here.
Thank you. I just want to start by saying I have total respect and understanding for everything that's been discussed tonight, but I live in St. Paul in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. So all of what we're talking about here is very much a concern, but I am really concerned about the present, and in terms of people recognizing that Homeland Security is deploying white nationalists and immigrant graphics to recruiters for their ICE teams, okay? And Minnesota is in chaos right now, folks. I don't know how many people on this call are from Minnesota and understand that
several.
Going out of your house now is dangerous. And for us to speak up and be concerned about all of the issues that we have in terms of staying alive, I think one of the big concerns is what this president is taking us in. And I just, I give and read Southern Poverty Law information, and that we got the new winter post for 26, and it took my breath away because it's happening as we speak in my community. I mean, I've tried to go to a couple protests, but they're so packed and there's so many ICE guys there, and it's just so damn scary. that, I get out of the car and then I say, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing here, because these guys have no rules or regulations or respect for life.
Right.
And
And
it
this
was
is
just
going on.
discovered that an AI glitch sent a large number of untrained men to your state. So an AI,
Absolutely.
yeah,
That's what we're finding out here, is that many of these people, they are not trained. They're looking for jobs. And I have a good friend who's actually from Chicago, and she has a son who has some, stability issues, mental stability issues, and ICE hired him. Okay. He's 19
yeah.
years old, no
And
experience.
Barbara,
Okay. And dramatic. And
Barbara,
what I have here is, just listen to this for just a minute. The Hate Watch review of Department of Homeland Security social media posts and web content found that the federal agency uses white nationalist and anti-immigrant images and slogans in recruiting materials. In some cases, the images and language appear to come from anti-Semitic, neo-Nazi publications, and a white
Barbara,
Christian nationalist website.
we know.
These people have no respect for life, folks.
Barbara,
So, yes,
we
Sally.
know. It's in this book. It's just not in the chapter that we're reading right now.
I get
I
it. I
don't,
get it. But
I don't,
I'm sorry. I didn't come intentionally to say this, but in all of the respect for all the things we want to do, our community right now is trying to stay alive,
I
and I
appreciate
respect
that.
you all. I really do. But I really think that everybody needs to pay attention to what's happening and the role of ICE. And I know we'll get to it, and I apologize, but I just needed to share it with somebody
We've
today.
actually already covered ICE and immigration enforcement. Um, and I
Oh,
apologize. And that's why I don't mean to interrupt. And I don't mean to, I'm not
I know.
trying
I'm sorry.
to,
I'm sorry. Yeah,
um,
I'm living here and I just got anxious. I'm anxious. Okay.
and, and,
I
and you
apologize.
have it. No, 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 no. Listen. You have every right to be anxious. You are living in hell right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they want you to be anxious. And they want you to think that you have no way to do anything. But we have ways of doing things, and that's what we're doing here. We are sharing information and we're learning what we
Yes,
can do.
I get it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
All right.
I also want to encourage you that when you go to these protests, there's safety in numbers. So if you're the only one, that's a lot scarier than if you're one of 50 people. So keep showing up.
But if you don't feel safe going, there are other things you can do, is what we're also trying to say. Dr. Chris, you're up next. And also, don't forget about, well, never mind. Dr. Chris, you're up next.
Yeah, hey, Chris from San Antonio. Yeah, so a couple things as we're getting ready to do these calls for action and contacting our representatives, on the healthcare issues and even what's going on with the funding of ICE as an alternative. Because at the end of the day, what this current administration has done is prioritize ICE and defense funding over other types of social safety nets because their intent is for everything to ultimately be privatized, right? And then they've also built an infrastructure of prisons and things, that support the deportation stuff. So I think our messaging to our Congress folks is we need to, like what we heard on the Indivisible call today, not a single dime goes to additional funding goes to ICE, right? Because that's the way we can kind of control the expansion of the infrastructure that they're putting in place. The other thing
Exactly.
I think we need to be careful about, though, is we don't want to overstate it. We don't want to say things like defund ICE, which means get rid of ICE, because then we will be hit with that counter. See, that's what we want. We want a free for all. We want the open borders, et cetera. And we don't need to spend a lot of time defending that narrative. We've got to address the ICE practices that are not in any way aligned with any professional, reputable police force. So anyway, I just wanted to clarify that in our messaging. Because, I don't want to get into the situation we got into with the Black Lives Matter, where we were saying defund the police, and people interpret that as meaning get rid of all police. And that's not what the intent was. It was to shift to, community policing and other types of things with our funding. But when you say defund the police, we just didn't use good verbiage. And so I don't want to make that mistake with the ICE stuff. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. And that is one big way that we can help, is telling them that we don't want any more money going to ICE. Like, we want the fact that ICE's favorability has dropped so dramatically, just from the beginning of the year to now, has a lot to do with what's happening in what we see happening. But I digress.
And Celia, can I just say one thing? The other thing is I haven't been good at calling every day. And what I heard on the two indivisible calls is call every day. Like
Every
even
day.
if it's the same message,
Yep.
because the cumulative count of hearing of hearing everybody call about the ICE stuff, and then also, the healthcare piece too that's going to the Senate. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Like blow up their phones every
They
day.
really do care. Like they
Well,
really do.
well, they care. I mean, my folks are red, so they don't really care, but they don't like to hear their phone being blown up because
That
they want to
part.
be reelected.
Right,
So
right, right. I didn't mean like
care
care.
like the
I meant,
heart. Yeah. Yeah.
right. Sorry. I should have made, yeah, sorry. Constance.
Uh, oh, I'm sorry. I should have lowered my hand.
Oh,
But can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. But I do want to just reinforce at least my, and I'm sure others as well on the call, reverence for what Minnesotans are going through right now, and their principled pushback um, on ICE, and it must be terribly hard to restrain themselves, which they're being urged to do by the mayor and the governor, because we don't want Trump to use this as as definition of or cause for an insurrection act. So it must. I would feel just, I'd like to punch people out there, and some of them are, but many of them are, most of them are restraining themselves admirably under tremendous pressure.
That's
And
true.
my heart just goes out to everyone in that state, and you're really doing, you're really on the bulwark of democracy up there. You're showing up for democracy, and it's incredible to see. I don't think every one of them would have expected that they may have been required to do that. But so many of you are, and it's just uh, heartwarming and heart wrenching to see it. And there, but for the grace of God, go us, and we may be in the same boat at some point.
Thank you, Constance. I think unfortunately we will. If he has his, and I think
Hmm.
the only reason why Chicago is not, I think he chose Minnesota for a multitude of reasons, but one is because Tim Walz ran against him.
Right. And
And
well, and he hates Somalis.
and that
He,
too,
he
but
has a hate.
that's
Yeah.
there's
No, yeah, I know he hates, anyone who has spoken out against him is his enemy.
All right, Beth.
So, Barbara, I want you to know that my heart goes out to you, and I can't even imagine what you're going through right now. And I don't care that we're not covering the ICE portion of the book.
Okay.
You are living exactly what this book is about. And I think that we can help you by being here and listening to you and being empathetic. And you can help us by helping us understand how terrifying it is. And maybe that will help us to be prepared if we ever have to come to the point where we have to live it as well. And as far as you going out and protesting, that's totally your call. If you don't feel safe and if there's tons of ice around and you're not a sprinter or you don't have bulletproof shit on, then don't go. But if you know, are a toughian, you want to kick some ass, then go. I mean, so I just, I feel horrible for you. And, and I wish that I was there to give you a hug. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Beth. That would be a big hug. Miss Sharon, you're up next.
You have my sympathy as well, and I do feel for you. And I get kind of anxious when I hear other people going through confusion and just the unrest. So I understand as well. But again, I'm always someone that's looking for solutions. And what I did, it took me forever to put this in the chat, and I hope it gets through. But I wrote a letter that one of the things is when you feel isolated, it's worse. So we got to continue to stand together. And I put a letter in there, solidarity protests against terrorists. And you could read it at your leisure. And also on top of that, I made up a form that could you could use as a talking point and terrorist impact on your life. And it's something that you can, I think everyone in America can, at this point, can relate to that. Because as I mentioned before, my insurance went up. I had to switch insurance because my medical group could not come to a negotiation with United Healthcare. So I had to find another medical insurance, and it went up $32 a month. I can afford that. I thank God. But when you hear people going from $1,800 a month to like $1,500 a month, I mean, you're gonna have to make some life-changing decisions. Can you still pay your house note? Can you still buy food? Can you still pay your utilities? But we got to stick together. And like I said, we need to, what I want to do is, like someone said, there's strength in numbers. So when we do these terrorist impact on our life, I would like to have a date where we send it out like on February 1st, everybody. Flood the system, with our letters at the same time. And I'm working on some other things. I don't know if if it's going to be successful, but at this time I feel like I gotta try. I don't feel like, when I get off these calls, I'm already thinking of what I can do. I'm not one to protest, to go out there and protest neither. And for various reasons. I'm in a red area. They kind of low key, but still, I don't have the physical stamina to be walking and everything like that.
That's
So
okay.
I try to do other things. So, take some time, read the letter, use the form for your own. Also, I read where Costco is suing Trump over
Yes.
saying that the tariffs are illegal. So you can use this form because if they win, I want my money back.
Right?
I want
That
my money
actually
back.
might be a door open to a lot of civil litigation. So
Yes, yes. So, you can use that form and again, I'm always asking suggestions of other things we could do other than actually physically protest. So, thank you. I definitely need de-escalation, relaxation today, Cecilia. So I hope we have time for that.
You must have missed it, Miss Sharon. We had that at the beginning.
No, I was there for the beginning, but now I'm all hyped up. I need
Oh,
someone to
now
bring
you're
me
all hyped
down.
up. Oh, okay,
That's what I'm
okay,
saying.
okay.
I wasn't hyped up when I came on. And then
Gotcha.
I got the TV on, and Mikado was giving Trump her Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, I know, y'all. I know.
So, I mean, okay, I'm
All
done.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Kim, you're up next.
So one of the things that I think is really important that we're really focusing on in our group here in West Michigan is skill sharing. And so that's everything from what's a good script to use to when you're calling your senators and representatives to we're going to be doing a whole program with local organizations on seed to harvest, growing your own food, or how to challenge healthcare decisions that deny you medications or services. And so all of those skill sharings just going around until we can get to a point where government is functioning again, and even beyond that, so that we are all showing up for each other and know and have things that we can do, even if we couldn't do them yesterday.
Yeah. That is, I highly recommend. I live in a very red part of Illinois. Most people look at Illinois and they think, oh, you live in Chicago. No, I live in the very MAGA part of Illinois, and there are two indivisibles in a very large area of Illinois, and we have to share a lot of our skills. That's why I also belong to NWSOFA in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, because I need to get my skills. I need to share skills from up there, because yeah, we're down here in the sticks, y'all. All right, Ms. Linda, how you doing today? Did I get you unmuted this second?
Yes, thank you very much. I really appreciate you. I appreciate everyone that's here on the call. I just wanted to do a quick reminder to everyone. You remember the Jim Crow laws? You guys remember studying Jim Crow? This is nothing but Jim Crow 2.0 on steroids. They haven't changed the playbook. They have not really changed the playbook. All they did was just use the modern times to facilitate it. And those that do not learn from their history are doomed to repeat it. And so we just need to use that which we have. We are not holding these folks' feet to the coal with their oaths of office, because part of that oath of office has a piece in there for litigation. So we, the people, can litigate a lot of this, and we need to get it on record and put it there. And then we need to have a plan on how we're going to get them out of the White House, because they don't plan to leave. And they have no respect for it. So that's another thing. They gave us Project 2025, all 900 pages, and said, here, read it. We're going to be implementing it. They had their 180-day plan. None of this was a surprise. But what we didn't do was we didn't start doing the work on the other side and take it seriously. So I just want to encourage everyone that this is an old playbook. Jim Crow didn't work. It didn't last. It hurt everyone. And that's why they had to backstep from it. And so we're gonna get through this. And we can't let them stay 3 years, though. This has got to start working expediently. We've got to get some stuff in place. All the laws that they've been breaking, HIPAA laws and all of that, we have laws in place. We just need to enforce it. It's like passing an ordinance, getting an ordinance on the books. But if you don't enforce it, it doesn't mean anything.
Exactly.
So let's get to work. I'm all on board. I'm doing my share wherever I can. Thank you very much. Remain encouraged. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Stay peaceful. Okay, the end is coming.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Boot Money. What can we learn from you today? I wonder.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. Hey, I just, well, I'm going to plug into history somehow on this. Okay,
I would hope so.
but I'm thinking, okay, and connecting what Linda was laying out with what Barbara was expressing in the reality. All right. The fundamental lesson here is that the resistance is the communication. That what you're doing right now, okay, with your segment, Cecilia, and with Dr. Chris's segment, is building a communication platform that is also sort of like our scaffold. And
Right.
that's what's important about all of this right now. The the historical parallel for this ice people, okay, you can go back to the Roman Empire, and they're called the Praetorian Guard. And as soon as Trump's out of the picture, that's when all hell is going to break loose, because these guys are not under anybody's actual control except Trump. Once we almost got to keep that guy alive until we can get him out of there legally somehow. But the historical implications are that if he's successful, chaos will probably increase, which then threatens stability. All right. They can only go up to a certain level before the system becomes so unstable that it starts to unravel. Once it starts to unravel, then all bets are off.
Yeah.
The only thing that will survive is the communication system that everybody has to have right now. That's what we have to protect.
That's what we've got to do.
And that's where your power is. All right. I mean, if you want a nonviolent revolution, it's in the communication. They're enabling us to talk to each other across great distances and across time. It's unimaginable that they gave us this thing, and now they can't take it away because they're as dependent on it as we are.
That's
So
true.
They can't stop us. All right. So the more we talk to each other, the more perspectives we put into the mix, the more we're going to get to the truth of the situation. Because I know what my truth is, and I suspect I know what a lot of other people's truths are, but I want to know what everybody's truths are, because together we'll get to what the actual truth actually is. Okay, enough of this.
Well, we have found our way to we found our way past our usual time. I don't know if we haven't, I don't know if we have enough time for lessons for a chapter of lessons from cats for surviving fascism, but if y'all want me to, I can read one. But I think I would leave it up to Barbara because this is, it's not meant to be frivolous. This is real. This is real.
Put my hand out.
This is very real. The title of this chapter is Take Over Spaces That Aren't Yours. And so it's very real it's very real. I need the word. it's very good information, very real information for how to defeat a fascism. It's just put in a way that's not so grim.
It's lighthearted.
Yeah.
It's cute.
It might make you smile.
Yes. It'll make you
Forget about
change your sad feelings.
and it's only like literally that page and that page, that it's not very much. But I'll leave it up to you.
Oh, are you talking to me? I'm sorry.
I am.
I apologize. I'm listening and thinking. Yeah. It's just a matter of time for everybody. I mean, of course I would listen to it, but
okay, good.
If the group is willing,
everyone else, is everybody else
taking this? Yeah.
Everybody else okay? All right, good. I'm making sure everybody's all right because we needed a little bit of lighthearted fun, some good stuff. Okay. And this one is very topical. This chapter, like I said, is chapter 8, and it is Lessons from Cats for Surviving Fascism from Stuart Brittlestar Reynolds. And this chapter is Take Over Spaces That Aren't Yours. Cats don't ask permission. They see an empty box, a chair, or even the middle of your carefully laid out Monopoly board, and they claim it as their own. No hesitation, no second guessing. To them, the world is a buffet of opportunities waiting to be taken. And frankly, that's the energy we need to bring when dealing with power structures, especially ones propped up by fascists. Fascists love their spaces of power. The big desks, the fancy titles, the platforms they use to spew their nonsense. But here's the thing. Those spaces aren't inherently theirs. They've just planted their flag and hoped no one would challenge them. Enter you. Channel your inner cat. Walk boldly into their metaphorical boardroom and take your seat, preferably one that makes them deeply uncomfortable. Imagine a fascist walking into a room only to find you lounging in their chair, cleaning your nails with the kind of relaxed confidence that says, "Oh, you were using this?" Their carefully curated aura of authority would crumble in an instant. "You can't just sit there," they'd sputter, flipping through their rule book. But the truth is, you absolutely can. Cats know this. It's not about asking, it's about occupying. The beauty of this tactic is that it works precisely because fascists are obsessed with territory. They think everything needs a label, a hierarchy, a chain of command. Cats, of course, reject all of that nonsense. To a cat, if there's an empty space, it's fair game. A chair isn't reserved, it's simply unclaimed. And that's how you need to see the spaces of power in the world. It's not just about taking up physical space, though. It's about inserting yourself into conversations, decision-making processes, and systems that were designed to exclude you. Fascists rely on people staying in their assigned roles, not questioning the status quo. But the moment you step into a space they thought was theirs, they have to reckon with your presence. And reckoning isn't their strong suit. Fascists, bless their rigid little minds, are hilariously bad at improvisation. But you're not supposed to be here, they'll stammer. as if saying it louder will make you leave. Meanwhile, you're already making yourself comfortable, stretching out like a cat in a sunbeam, and maybe even rearranging a few things on their desk for good measure. The trick is to act like you belong there, because frankly, you do. Cats don't second guess themselves when they hop to your laundry basket or sprawl across your keyboard. They own the moment. They make their presence undeniable, and so should you. This doesn't mean barging in recklessly. Cats are deliberate. They assess, they wait, and then they move with precision. When you take over a space, whether it's a literal seat at the table or a metaphorical one, do it with purpose. Make it clear that you're not just filling space, you're reshaping it. Because at the end of the day, power isn't about who built the space, it's about who occupies it. And if a cat can turn an Amazon box into a throne, imagine what you can do when you claim the spaces that fascists thought were theirs. So go ahead, take the chair, the box, the stage. Claim it with confidence. Sit down like you own the place and don't budge. If they want it back, they'll have to pry it out of your perfectly poised paws. Did you hold that in the entire time, Boot Money? I'm proud of you.
Oh man, you're out of sight. Am I still
Barbara,
on?
I hope that that gave you just a little bit of levity.
Yes, it does. It does. I mean, mind over the heart. Yes. So we have to keep our critical thinking skills. We have to look for evidence. We don't want to be just reactionary. So we need to, move forward with the plan. So thank you. I appreciate it.
You're
I'm
welcome, honey.
breathing.
And I know that you've got to be surrounded by mass chaos, and I cannot fathom it. I honestly can't. And I honestly know that it will find me. I know that either I'll find it by going to it, or it will come and it will find me.
Well, that's what I'm afraid of, that we don't want it. I mean, we want to deal with it here and not let it. But it's been here for months and it hasn't been talked about, which is upsetting too. And so I think it's happening in more states than we're talking about. And I didn't mean to undermine what everyone else was
No,
saying, but
no,
I just look and think everything got put on hold when this is happening. Everything
I
gets put on
understand.
hold.
I
So I
understand.
just appreciate the audience. Thank you very much.
And
But
I do want you to know, please feel free to come here and tell us how you're doing.
yeah,
I apologize. I didn't mean to. I just didn't
no,
want you
it's
to.
okay. You guys, we're good. We're good. We're good.
Okay.
No worries. Yeah, we've got enough to worry about, not each other.
All right.
We're concerned, but thank you. Thank you.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. Constance, what do you need? How you doing? Oh,
I
you
was
need to
just
unmute
gonna,
though.
yeah, I was just gonna, I don't know if Barbara can come to our morning meetings, if that would be helpful at all. We
Well,
have
I
a,
have been in the past and
you
just
have, okay,
recently, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So
I
I try
got
to
it.
get them, but
Yeah,
I'm taking some classes and so I'm in class at that time most days. So,
well, we have an unhappy hour at 5 o'clock Central Time too.
oh,
At
that
five
one I
on
could
Friday.
probably make.
Yeah,
On
yeah,
Friday, I'll try to make it. We'll see.
bring a glass
Yeah.
of something, yes,
If you partake. Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, y'all,
On that note, thank you all.
my goodness, this was spicy but smooth stew. I know that stew is not meant to be a soup, but I do often find it as a nice, lovely soup. Y'all are amazing. I thank each and every one of you for your input, whether you spoke today, whether you added it to the chat, or whether you just listened. All of it was very, 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 very welcome and very much appreciated. Thank you so much for being here. And
Yeah,
very
namaste.
namaste.
Yeah.
Thank you.